Lots to discuss, and you can see there the minority leader is with us, Hakeem Jeffries. I just want to sort of tee you up. Good evening to you, leader. Let me just tee it up before I get to the questions. The Department of Homeland Security's funding has lapsed, and lawmakers are deadlocked over a proposal to restore, with Democrats seeking restrictions on the federal agents carrying out President Trump's immigration crackdown. And so much to discuss with that. Will there be federal agents, ICE agents at polling places come 2026, the 2026 midterms? So we have so much to discuss with the leader. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has served New York's 8th Congressional District since 2013. Thanks for joining us, leader. How are you?
Great to be with you. And before I say anything further, Don, just thank you for your courage, your character, your conviction. We're with you in this fight until you win this fight, and we know you're going to win this fight. It's unjustified what the Department of Justice is doing. It's egregious, and it's a stain on their legacy, which continues. But we're with you until this fight has been concluded.
Thank you, leader. I really appreciate that. So let's talk about getting to some normalcy and, having institutions attacked. They want the institution of our elections possibly attacked during 2026. I know that you're in the fight now to figure out what happens with the funding of the Department of Homeland Security. But that is a real question about the election integrity come 2026.
No doubt about it. We know that the president is going to try to do everything he can to alter the electoral landscape to try to prevent there from being a free and fair election, because as we've seen over the last 14 months, Democrats have won every significant election now for 14 consecutive months, including most recently in states like Texas and Louisiana, that they are frightened to death because they know they're about to go down in flames electorally. Now, in the midst of this funding fight, amongst the many demands that we've put on the table, and we believe, look, ICE is out of control. They need to be reined in. Taxpayer dollars should be used to make your life more affordable, the lives of the American people more affordable, not to brutalize or kill them, as was done with Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy. We have indicated that sensitive locations have to be off limits. And those sensitive locations include schools, houses of worship, hospitals, and we have explicitly now added polling locations because we know that there's a possibility that Donald Trump will try to unleash parts of DHS to try to intimidate voters from coming out to exercise their franchise. We won't let that happen.
This is what The Hill is reporting. Kristi Noem boasts she will have the right people voting. And then Kristi Noem is saying ICE will ensure. Now, this wording, leader, to me is quite telling. We have the right people vote for the right candidate. Here she is.
And elections is another one of those critical infrastructure responsibilities that I have as well. And I would say that many people believe that it may be one of the most important things that we need to make sure we trust is reliable, and that when it gets to election day that we've been proactive to make sure that we have the right people voting, electing the right leaders to lead this country through the days that we have, knowing that people can trust it.
Right people for the right leaders?
Kristi Noem is such an unqualified, malignant, bad actor, stone cold liar. And there's no circumstance. Why is she still around? Alex Preddy was killed on January 24th. This is ridiculous. And as we've made clear to the Trump administration, if she's not fired, impeachment proceedings are going to commence in the House. And we believe we have a shot of actually finding a handful of Republicans who agree with us that she's got to go. That said, the notion that she has popped back up, she's temporarily been released from the witness protection program that she was in the aftermath of the tragic events in Minneapolis. And this is what she decides to say, that basically affirm the concerns that many of us have, that they want to try to steal the midterm elections. Now, this is one of the reasons why we voted against the so-called Save America Act. And I'm thankful that Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer has made clear it's dead on arrival in the Senate. It's not going anywhere, because part of what was in that bill, which is really a voter suppression bill, was to compel states and localities to turn over voter files to DHS of all people. That ain't happening. That's crazy.
Right. Look, to your question, well, Kristi Noem is not helping the president's approval numbers from saying some stuff like that. I almost said something else for saying some stuff like that, but she's not. It's no different than what Bannon is saying, and I think he's being even more explicit. Here it is.
You're damn right. We're going to have ICE surround the polls come November. We're not going to sit here and allow you to steal the country again. And you can whine and cry and throw your toys out of the pram all you want, but we will never again allow an election to be stolen.
Leader.
And here's the problem with these deranged individuals. There is no election that has been stolen. They can't point to evidence of widespread voter fraud in any way, shape, or form. They're making it up because they know they're going down in flames. These people have literally lost election after election after election. We saw what happened in the off-year elections in November because the American people have had enough in New Jersey, in New York, in Virginia, in Mississippi, in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, where we won statewide races for the first time in 20 years, Prop 50 in California, and then we follow that up with a string of big victories in red states, like Florida in December, Texas in January, and most recently in Louisiana, where we crushed the Republicans with a 37-point overperformance from a district that Donald Trump had just won. So these people are scrambling right now. But even John Thune has said, no, we're not going to let the president nationalize the election. And they lost before the Supreme Court in December. That was actually a somewhat surprisingly enlightened decision where the Supreme Court concluded that Donald Trump does not have the power to federalize the National Guard, which is what forced him to remove National Guard troops under his direction in places like California, Illinois, and Oregon without the cooperation of those governors who told him to get lost. So that power has been removed from him. And now we're working on this ICE issue, which is sort of Custer's last stand in terms of them trying to manipulate the situation. And it's one of the reasons why we find ourselves in this shutdown showdown, because we know we got to get ICE under control. Focus on immigration enforcement that should be fair, just, and humane, instead of brutalizing and violently targeting American citizens and law-abiding immigrant families. And now they're moving on to trying to steal the election. Just like we stopped them, Don, with their gerrymandering scheme, we're going to stop them here.
Before we get into the, you said the shutdown. Before we get into that, let's talk about this, about the ICE being at polling places a little bit more, because how do you ensure that, leader? I know that you have certain proposals you said that you're working on, but this administration is defying federal judges. They are arresting journalists. They're finding new ways every day to, break with the Constitution, to defy the Constitution. How do you make sure of that? Because I know that you said John Thune is saying you're not going to nationalize the election, but is John Thune saying there aren't going to be any ICE agents outside of polling places?
We're gonna ensure that is a straight up violation of the law that can be enforced across the board. Now, here's the key. Elections right now are administered by states and localities. That's what they're trying to change, because Donald Trump knows he does not have the ability to override governors, secretaries of state, attorney generals, or state Supreme Courts. That's his problem right here. And that's why he's threatening to try to nationalize it, but he's got no vehicle to be able to do it. Now, he wants to unleash these ICE agents to try to intimidate folks, which is why we've said amongst our many different ironclad line in the sand demands, which include independent criminal investigations when ICE agents break the law, judicial warrants need to be required before ICE agents storm homes or private property. We want to prohibit racial profiling, ethnic profiling, mandate excessive use of force policies. But as I mentioned earlier, prohibit ICE from showing up at sensitive locations, which we're going to spell out in the law. And that, of course, includes polling sites.
So in the shutdown, basically in the shutdown, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to put words in your mouth. I know that you've dealt with that, but you don't want to fund them. You're basically defunding ICE in this. Am I correct or no?
So our view is that the Department of Homeland Security funding bill cannot move forward absent changes that we believe are bold, dramatic, meaningful, and transformational. So that ICE is actually forced to conduct itself like every other law enforcement agency in the world, and that we can implement these changes now, so we can save lives now, so we can stop the brutality and the terror now. And that's what this moment is all about. And unfortunately, what Republicans have decided is that rather than enact those type of dramatic changes that we've put on the table, they would prefer to shut down FEMA, shut down the TSA, and shut down the Coast Guard. But they're going to pay a price for that with the American people. It's an unsustainable position. Donald Trump's immigration ratings are falling apart and are now approaching his poor ratings on the economy and on healthcare. And we believe that we're in this fight, we're going to win this fight, and we have to on behalf of the American people.
So if you do you think ICE right now, do you think that they're redeemable, meaning can they be retrained? Because I know from personal experience that the men and women of the Homeland Security Department, there are many agents who abide by the oath that they took and the rules of conduct. They are not the folks out there rounding people up without due process with only 47 days of training. Do you think that this group of individuals who are out there right now, do you think that they're capable of reformation?
Well, those newly hired individuals, those people who've gotten 47 days of training, those people who may have been hired absent actual criminal background checks, like they should not be on the streets. They should not be enforcing immigration laws. They're deeply unqualified. Many of them probably should have never been hired. And we've got to get to the bottom of that, which is part of what we're saying needs to occur in this particular instance. Certainly, Kristi Noem is a disaster. She's got to go. Stephen Miller has to go. But you can't just change policy personnel. You've got to change the underlying implementation of those policies, not just the people who are directing what is occurring. And so, you know, I think to your question, the agents who have been newly hired as a result of the $75 billion slush fund that Republicans put into place as part of their one big ugly bill, they shouldn't be on the streets right now until we have a clear understanding of who they are, whether they've been properly trained, and of course, we got to change the legal landscape so that they understand that if they violate the law, they can be criminally investigated and prosecuted at the state and local level, as opposed to what they're being told right now, which is that they have the benefit of so-called absolute immunity. And we know the Department of Justice will never go after them.
This absolute immunity and qualified immunity, I mean, that's problematic. I see every day coming across my timeline for stories about where I see just the inhumane treatment of citizens, not just by ICE, but many times by police officers as well. Should they get rid of that qualified or full immunity? Should they get rid of that?
You know, when it comes to actual ICE agents and DHS agents, it's much worse than that, because we're dealing with two different things that have to be unraveled. So it's this notion of absolute immunity, and it's this notion of sovereign immunity connected to the fact that they are federal law enforcement officers, which is why part of what we have demanded in the context of the type of changes that are necessary before the DHS funding bill can move forward is that state and local authorities, attorney generals like Keith Ellison or Tish James, have the explicit authority to actually investigate ICE agents when they break the law, particularly violently, and to criminally prosecute them if the facts in the law justify that action. And we believe this is absolutely critical to changing behavior, because if ICE agents actually know that they can be held accountable for the type of violence and brutality being unleashed on the American people, as opposed to the Department of Justice looking the other way under Pam Bondi, she's a disgrace, or even if they were somehow convicted, we know Donald Trump in all likelihood would at some point pardon them, but he can't pardon anyone who's convicted of violating state law, which is why this particular effort in terms of accountability, state and local independent investigations is such a key demand in order to change behavior.
Yes, I know you have to run, and I want to be respectful of your time. So now, where are we on the funding? Are we at a standoff? What's going on?
unfortunately, we're at a standoff. We haven't had any serious engagement from the White House. Donald Trump was on the golf course yesterday. I mean, are you kidding me? This guy is not real interested in trying to find a resolution here. But they do know, Don, that we're deadly serious about the type of dramatic, bold, meaningful, and transformational changes that have to occur. And until that happens, the DHS funding bill is not going to move forward.
Democratic Minority Leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, and thank you for your time. Okay,
man, appreciate what you do.
Thank you so much. Okay, so there you go. We like to go right to the source, all right, to talk about these things, and so we went right to the source, and I thought he was pretty candid there about what's happening, especially as it relates to. It's pretty scary to think that during an election that you can have folks standing, members of ICE or whatever, or law enforcement, any kind of poll watchers and the threatening or whatever, intimidating, to have them intimidated and just standing there at polling places, I think is just beyond the pale. I think it's beyond the pale. And regardless of how you feel about Hakeem Jeffries, at least he's out here talking about it. And we look, he is the minority leader, and we like to hear from the source. And he is the source. And he says this funding bill is going nowhere until they get some of their demands. And we'll see. Look, I know you guys, I've been saying it too, Democrats cave a lot. But this time I'm hoping that they don't cave, because this is really, really important for the country. And election integrity is really important for the country. And someone who I know, who I have known for a long time, is Kurt Bardella. He has a few ideas about what should happen as it relates to election integrity and what should happen to the State of the Union. Kurt Bardella is here. There he is. 2 minutes, a word from our sponsors, and we're back with Kurt. This episode is brought to you by Graza. Now, let me tell you something. Once you start cooking with really good olive oil, you just cannot go back. And Graza is the one I keep in my kitchen. I cook, I host, I'm always experimenting, and flavor really matters to me. Sizzle is my everyday oil, roasting vegetables, sauteing greens, marinating chicken or fish. It's smooth, fresh, and you can actually taste the difference. And then there's Drizzle, and that's a finishing move. A little over a salad, some warm bread, and even pasta, it just lifts everything. And if you're cooking at high heat, Frizzle handles grilling and frying without breaking down. So what I appreciate the most, it's never blended, it's always fresh, and the harvest date is right there. It's right on the bottle. And now they have got mayo and aioli made with their olive oil, rich, bold, actually flavorful. So go to graza.co and use the code LEMON for 20% off of your first order, and look for the mayo in stores. Again, that's graza.co, and use the code LEMON for 20% off of your first order, and look for the mayo in stores. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. February can be heavy. Everywhere you look, it's flowers and perfect relationship narratives. Meanwhile, most of us are just doing our best to figure things out. Whether you're married, dating, or single, healing, or somewhere in between, you're not late. You're not behind. Therapy gives you space to ask real questions. What do I want? Why does this feel overwhelming? How do I stop carrying pressure that doesn't belong to me? That kind of clarity changes how you show up in relationships and in life. So BetterHelp makes it simple. You fill out a brief questionnaire, and they match you with a licensed therapist. And if it's not the right fit, you can switch at any time. No awkwardness, nothing like that. They have helped over 5 million people worldwide. If you've ever been feeling stuck or just need someone objective in your corner, this could help. Get 10% off at betterhelp.com/DonLemon. That's BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/DonLemon. Okay, thank you to our sponsors. We are back and better than ever. We're back now with Kurt Bardella. He's the author of the Watchdog Report on Substack and the former spokesperson and senior advisor for Republicans on the House Oversight Committee. He is now a Democrat, and I got to witness the transformation in real time. Do you remember that, Kurt?
My very first cable news interview was on your show the day that I broke up with Steve Bannon and Breitbart.
I know. I said, so are you a Democrat now? Did I ask you did you answer that question to me first if you were a Democrat? I don't know.
Yeah. This is the thing. On that segment, you asked me a straight yes or no question. I just said one word, yep. And you paused for like 5 seconds, and I thought some audio was wrong because I'd never done cable before. And and you came back and said, you know what? Like, most people don't just give direct answers. I got nothing left to have to say.
Yeah, I know. I've always been the same. I'm a crazy. It's true though. I was just like, I was flummoxed. Like, okay. well, he answered the question. He didn't like dance around it. So listen, I want to play you heard what Steve Bannon said, right? Just before the break. Okay, so this is the response to Steve Bannon, and it is Adam Schiff. Here it is.
ICE surrounding the polls. What can be done about it?
Well, this is Steve Bannon speaking the plain truth about their intentions, which is Donald Trump will be your tin pot dictator if you let him. It is our plan to make sure there is not a free and fair election. We're going to resort to taking ballot boxes in Fulton County, Georgia, or the last election. We just learned that Tulsi Gabbard oversaw some kind of a law enforcement operation in Puerto Rico that seized voting machines and data. The DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, has no election remit in terms of domestic law enforcement. But we are seeing a concerted effort to try to overturn what they expect will be a very unfavorable election against them.
Okay, so look, I want you to respond to him, but I like this viewer's attitude right here. Evelyn Warner says, we don't care. We're just going to vote. So maybe people won't be intimidated, but some might be. So what do you think of that, of his response and what Steve Bannon said, Kurt?
Well, I'll tell you, what your viewer just said is the key to everything. We need to make this upcoming election too big to rig. No matter what Republicans try to do, no matter what Donald Trump tries to do, no matter what intimidation tactics, suppression tactics, if we show up in mass and we participate in the electoral process, we can make this election too big for them to rig. We need to understand that the premise that Republicans throw out there every day, that the election is rigged, that illegal immigrants in mass vote constantly and millions of illegal votes are counted every year at Democrat places. The insanity of that argument is that while President of the United States, we have seen somehow Democrat presidents orchestrate a massive conspiracy that resulted in Republicans winning the White House, Republicans holding on to majorities of Congress, yet somehow millions of illegal immigrants voted for Democrats. None of this adds up at all. It defies common sense. So when they say, well, we're having an election integrity force out there, when they say we're going to send ICE out there to protect the election, what they're actually saying is we're going to try to do the thing that we have spent years now accusing Democrats of doing. We're going to try to steal the election because they know when the playing field is actually level, there's way more of us than there are of them.
Look, you see this is my own comment to my own show. And I said, I'm voting for show. I know that's right. No, seriously, that's how my mom talks. So I don't care how many ICE agents, how many people are out there, but there are people who might be intimidated by it. But you're right. That viewer's attitude is correct, but it doesn't change the fact that this administration is trying to potentially rig an election.
Right. Well, and this is the thing about what we've seen unfold with law enforcement, the deployment of excessive force becoming normalized and routine and encouraged by the powers that be. What they are trying to do is to create the permission structure to deploy these type of tactics on American citizens in broad daylight, on camera, using the powers and levers of government to try to intimidate those who would speak out against them. Don knows more about that firsthand than anybody in America right now. But that's why we see them sending them out to Minnesota. If this was about illegal immigration, these forces wouldn't be in Minnesota. They would be in the areas where the largest concentration of illegal immigrants are: Texas, California, not in Minnesota.
What about Florida?
And Florida, the third largest immigration concentration in America is in Florida. 2 of the 3 largest illegal immigrant population centers are in states run by Republicans, not Democrats. But you don't see the National Guard there. You don't see ICE there knocking down doors, tearing off, going after American citizens, rounding up journalists. That's not going on down there. They are trying to normalize these images we're seeing right now so that when they deploy them come election time, everyone is already used to it and just kind of shrugs their shoulders and says, well, that's just the way it is with Donald Trump, and accept it.
You know what? As I'm looking at these images, Kurt, we are living them real time. And don't get me wrong, they're still happening. And for some reason, not with the fanfare that they were. Maybe they're not tear gassing or gassing people or pepper spraying people as they were. I don't know. I'm not there. But as we sort of look back and we get a little bit of distance, it's not that much, right? It's still happening. When you look at these images, you go, why the hell did we stand for that? Like, What was that? Do you know what I'm saying? And I think people are going to go to the polls with that in mind, regardless of, because regardless of what the Trump folks are, they're pulling out of Minnesota or not because of, his, tanking approval rating, approval numbers or poll numbers. The media is going to be playing this footage over and over. There are going to be candidates that are playing this over and over, and what do you call pack groups for campaigns that are going to be playing these images over and over, and people are going to be speaking out about, I was shot, I was dragged, I'm a citizen, I was put in custody. It's just not good.
Oh, I mean, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, they say. And for a lot of the majority of Americans, the first impression they have of ICE are the images that we're seeing that are being, like you said, they're going to be played over and over and over again. And I'll tell you, I live most of my life now in a red state. I moved to Dallas a few years ago. I'm in San Antonio. Just went to the San Antonio rodeo last night to watch Brad Paisley perform. And I can tell you, living this suburban dad life in a red state, not a lot cuts through that bubble that goes on in Washington. But one of the things that did were these images. Were the heartbreaking, gut-wrenching images of U.S. citizens being gunned down and murdered by federal agents at the behest of the president of the United States. That image and the subsequent callous and absolute crazy things that were said in the aftermath by people like Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller trying to defend these abhorrent actions, that broke through the bubble of DC, New York, and LA, and even in places here like Texas. That's why you're seeing right now so many people, even Republicans, sounding the alarm that Texas is in play because Trump's immigration policies are decimating their own economy.
And when does it, looking at these folks, I'm going to hold that thought. Remind me to ask you something. But looking at these images where you see people who are sort of, do with the whistle and defying these ICE agents or goons, how often, you don't see that happening very often where people are willing to put their own safety at risk. And now the Trump folks are like, they're paid agitators, they're organized, whatever. Of course they're organized. I mean, during the civil rights movement, the protesters were organized. Like, what the hell are you talking about? And agitators or whatever, they're protesters. You can try to use all the derogative or defamatory language that you want, but these were people who were willing to put themselves in some sort of danger because they thought that what was happening was so wrong. And I mean, that says a lot about this moment. We haven't seen this in a while.
I mean, it is, as I think the late, great John Lewis would call it, it's good trouble. This is civil disobedience that unfortunately is required to meet this moment because Donald Trump and his MAGA forces have, embraced this lurch towards authoritarianism so profoundly that the only way to meet that is with a certain degree of lawful civil disobedience, constitutionally protected civil disobedience. That's what we're seeing play out. And I think that the more other citizens have watched the treatment of, again, U.S. citizens legally exercising their First Amendment rights, getting mowed down, gunned down, assaulted, attacked, thrown out of cars, windshields broken, I do think there's enough of us who feel like, you know what, I'm going to stand with these people. I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to retreat. Because I'll tell you, if you think that the answer is to hide and retreat and to leave you alone, they're just going to break down the door of your house one day and drag you out kicking and screaming. Yeah.
And look, I just had the comment up there for someone who's saying, I will personally escort people to the polls. Thank you. Is that's actually maybe a good strategy for Democrats, is to get some election escorts.
Hey, you know, there's something called strength in numbers.
Yeah.
And what I would love to see, especially those who are running for office and putting their names on the ballot this November, to don't just do the photo op of, oh, look, I voted, and then go about your merry day. Stay at the polling stations and stay there in line with people who want to exercise their right to vote, and show that you're standing with them. And if ICE shows up, or if some other, quote, election integrity official shows up, stand with them, because people will be empowered and they will feel protected if someone whose name is actually on that ballot is standing right next to them.
Now, the question that I said to hold on to the answer or the question, whichever you want to, you said that it was penetrating the bubble of your suburban neighborhood. But my question is it penetrating the MAGA bubble? Because I had, God, what's his name? Hyde. I saw him on one of the shows today, a clip for him on social media. So he was on one of the shows and he was talking about, he says he goes to not the Villages, I forget what the place in Illinois, and I used to live there. And he said it's not breaking through to that MAGA, neighborhood.
I don't think that there's anything that will break through the MAGA neighborhood, but I think what will break through are disaffected Republicans, are Mitt Romney Republicans, Liz Cheney Republicans, George W. Bush Republicans, who kind of they always give the line, I don't like Donald Trump, but I like some of his policies, or I don't like his style, but it's good for the economy. I think those are the people that are looking at what's going on, going, this is too far. I'm on the people who parade themselves as Christians and worship at their services on Sunday. You cannot defend this. And even if it means that they won't vote Democrat, my hope is they just don't vote. I'm okay with them sitting this one out. That's totally fine. But I do think that there's an opportunity for Democrats here to make inroads with this disaffected group of people who live in political no man's land, who don't like what they see from Donald Trump, are ready to change the channel from that, but have never voted Democrat in their life. It's like, we need to create a permission structure. And my wife came up with this phrase, and it's brilliant: Democrat for a day. We're not asking you to marry us. We're not asking you to join our party. We're asking you to take a stand one day, vote Democrat one time. And oh, by the way, that is how you could get your party back that's been hijacked by this and infected by this MAGA cancer, and take it in a different direction. I'm old enough to remember when Republicans used words like compassionate conservatism and comprehensive immigration reform, and we're the big tent party. You could still be that one day, but you got to have the guts to stand up for it. And the only way that Republicans en masse are going to change is if the electorate, their electorate, sends the message that this is a return to sender moment. We will vote Democrat for a day.
This is Jamie Raskin. It's a bit long. I don't know if I'm going to play all of it, but it's on how Democrats can protect the midterms. Here it is.
The first is from our old friend Diane Rehm. She says, what can you do to prevent Republicans and ICE from interfering with people voting in the midterm elections?
So thank you, Diane, and thank you for everything you've done. I mean, we're in that fight right now, like in North Carolina, right now in Texas. So I don't want people to think about a stolen election as something that's going to happen in November. They're trying to stack the rules and change the rules right now all over the country, and people are fighting all over the country. We, of course, have our great lawyer, Mark Elias, with a team of, I don't know, it's 80 or 90 lawyers now, but there's ACLU, there's NAACP Legal Defense Fund. These things are being fought out. But remember, the best way to steal an election is to run an election, and that's what the Republicans are trying to do. Like in Texas, they try to take over all of the outposts of management of the election to prevent people from voting and stop people from voting. But when people say to me, he's going to cancel the election, Trump's got no power to cancel the election. We had midterm congressional elections in the middle of the Civil War. We had midterm elections in the middle of World War II. I mean, we've gone through major wars and cataclysms and had midterm elections. Why would we cancel it for Donald Trump? Because it's going to hurt his feelings to see his party go down into humiliating defeat. I'm sorry, that's not a reason to cancel American democracy.
Well, I think the fear is that he's going to somehow enlist the military into stopping it.
And we've had a lot of our colleagues in Congress speak out very strongly to people in the military about how not only can they, but how they must refuse unlawful orders. Now they're retaliating against Alyssa Slotkin and Jason Crow and our colleagues, and so we've got to defend them. I mean,
okay,
look,
so you get it. You get it. What do you think of what he's saying?
I mean, he's absolutely right. The idea that we would cancel an election because Donald Trump knows what's coming and Republicans know what's coming is obviously fanciful, unconstitutional, undemocratic, but there is a design for that. And this is why Steve Bannon's out there saying we're going to send ICE out to the election polls. They're trying to scare us. I think one of the elements here that's really important for Democrats to understand, though, is part of how we overcome this and preserve our democracy and ensure the midterms happen the way they should is if we as a party inspire the American people enough to want to give a damn. I've heard so much over the last few years, people just give up on Democrats and to feel like, you know what, like they're operating under the same playbook as if Donald Trump never existed, and they keep losing when they should win. They keep, they're like Charlie Brown and the football. They keep going after it and missing it and falling on their face. Democrats got to show the American people that they're willing to change tack. They're willing to adapt to the times, that they're ready to meet the moment. You can't say democracy is on the line, this is the most important election of our lifetime, and run the same playbook every time. And a good example of that's coming up here. Next week, we got Trump's State of the Union. There's a big debate going on. How should Democrats respond to it? What kind of resistance protest should they illustrate? Should they just not show up? Should they show up and hold signs? How do you meet that moment? Every time we have a State of the Union, there's a Democratic response, and it's just unnamed politician B standing alone in a room, looking at a camera, delivering 10 minutes of forgetful rhetoric that doesn't really mean anything to anybody at all. Why would we not do something different this time when we know Donald Trump's going to stand on that dais with the trappings of the U.S. representatives around him and flagrantly lie about the murder of Renee Good, lie about what happened in Minnesota, disparage people, journalists like yourself, lie about the Epstein files? Why would we sit there as props, as the Democratic Party, and the best we can to combat that is to go boo or hold a sign that says you lie? We need to do something radically different than we've ever done before. And doing so will actually send a message to Democrats and the American people, oh, this is a different party now. We're ready to meet the moment. We know what we're up against. Follow us. Put yourself in potential harm's way and protest what is going on in this country. But Democrats have got to lead by doing it first. They should have, instead of an unnamed politician standing in an empty room, have Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna stand there together with those Democrat members of Congress, not in the House chamber, but right before them. Give some statements about the Epstein files and then turn it over to Epstein victims and let them talk about why they want justice, why they want transparency, what they want Donald Trump and Pam Bondi to do. Make it bigger than just about some unnamed politician. The one place that we have seen bipartisan support for anything in this country has been about making the Epstein files transparent. So make it about that. Make it about the one issue that's kryptonite to Donald Trump. And all the years that we've been doing this now, it's been 10 years we've been doing this. Nothing has stuck to Donald Trump for longer than a minute in the news cycle. That's why they called him the Teflon Don. Nothing has brought his approval ratings down in any way. Nothing has caused friction within the Republican Party, except for the Epstein files. So I am begging them to do something different, and don't just send some poor senator or senator up there afterwards to try to rebut the thousands of lies and random rants that we're going to get from Donald Trump on the House floor on Tuesday night.
Well, Kurt, you beat me to it because your tweet says Kurt Bardella's tweet is about Dems sitting out the State of the Union. And I'm glad you brought it up. You said there is zero value for Democrats to just sit at the State of the Union as props for the Trump show while he lies and gaslights the American people. Instead, they should have Ro Khanna and, as you said, Representative Thomas Massie deliver the Dem response with Epstein victims speaking. Now, do you think they'll do that? It's not a bad idea. And partly while I go, I'm going to just open the window because it's a little warm in here. Go ahead.
Well, part of that is going to be, how Leader Hakeem Jeffries choreographs the Dem response, how him and Leader Schumer envision the Democratic response. They're the ones who have the power to do that. I really had the idea after the other week, the House Democrats and the Oversight Committee had an incredibly powerful committee hearing with victims of ICE's violence in this country, hearing from some of the family members of Renee Good, a woman in Illinois who was special needs and was manhandled and abused by ICE. And I thought, well, how powerful to hear from these people, not politicians, not law enforcement officials, but the actual victims and what their stories are. Wouldn't it be interesting if instead of Senator so-and-so or Congressman so-and-so or Governor so-and-so, the Dem response to the State of the Union were Epstein victims speaking to the American people? It's the one time between now and November that we're going to have the opportunity to get 15 minutes of simulcast time on every news network in America. Why not put something else front and center and just give the American people the real in a way that they don't get from all the news, caverns that they hide in every day?
What about some of the people who have been mistreated by ICE, like American citizens?
I would, whether it's, and I think there is a way to marry these two issues, and this is the way that you would do it. Actually, is you begin with just one or two members of Congress just kind of setting the stage. We're here to give the response to the State of the Union. You just heard Donald Trump lie about ICE, lie about the Epstein files, and rather than us sitting here for 10 minutes giving you talking points about affordability and healthcare and all the things that we usually talk about, we're going to dedicate this time and this platform to the real victims of Donald Trump's MAGA Epstein class party, beginning first with this person here to talk about ICE, and then this person here to talk about Epstein, and then just have a call to action. If you think that these people deserve justice, then please join us in doing A, B, or C, and that's it.
Have you spoken this to any? I mean, we had Leader Jeffries on just before you. Have you spoken to anyone? I mean, we'll reach out to his comms person and say, hey, you need to talk to Kurt Bardella, but you have contacts as well.
I have shared this with a couple of members of Congress. I have obviously put this out publicly now, via my Substack platform, the Watchdog Report. So I'm talking about it. Every interview I do this week is going to be really about this, because I feel that strongly that if Democrats send up someone in an empty room next Tuesday to rebut the president, that will be incredibly discouraging to me that they don't get it yet.
That they don't, if they just do the same old thing that they've done before, because these are not the same times. Do you think that they're learning? I think they're learning. I do think that they are adapting quite slowly, but they're doing it now to digital and streamers. I do believe that.
Yeah, I mean, when I see the amount of, again, Rokan is a great example of this, someone who has been going on. The fact that the leader just went on your show is progress all to itself. Like, they're going outside the traditional DC Beltway bubble institutions, and you got to meet people where they are, and where they are is on YouTube and on Substack and on TikTok. We may not like it and again, I'm a parent, Don. I live this every day with a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. They've never watched TV in their life.
God, they're 12 and 10 now. I'm so old.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so sorry.
It's like they watch YouTube. They watch shorts. They watch, they absorb information in 30, 60, 90-second bits, right? Like, it is a different world out there. And much of that generation, it's spreading. Like, there's a reason why the most influential person, maybe in planet Earth, is a guy named Mr. Beast. I mean, that's who my kids watch. Yeah. And so knowing that, there
are people who have a different, they think you're talking about a different Mr. Beast, but
if you're listening, you don't know who Mr. Beast is, you will be astounded, because he's got the largest following in YouTube in the world.
Yeah.
But that's the world that we're living in. And I think Democrats need to understand that. Ever since Donald Trump came on the scene, the political world as we knew it became less West Wing and more WWE.
Yeah, true that. We were talking about his approval numbers. First of all, Kurt, I'm gonna get a word from our sponsors, but then I want you to respond to this one clip when we come back. But just give me 2 minutes, a word from our sponsors, and we're back. You guys don't want to miss what we're going to talk about. Support comes from Shopify. Now, when I launched the Don Lemon Show, I had a vision, and what I needed was structure, okay? Systems, a way to actually run a business without drowning in details. And that's where Shopify comes in. Shopify powers millions of businesses and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, and we use it for our merch that you wanted, that you demanded, and you love it. So thank you so much. You get professional templates that make your store look polished from day one. Built-in AI tools help write product descriptions and improve your images. And their marketing tools help you connect through email and social without hiring a full team. And then there's the back-end inventory, shipping, returns, even international sales, handled in one place. So if you're building something, you need infrastructure. Start your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/lemon. That's shopify.com/lemon. Support comes from Lean. Now, everybody's talking about weight loss injections right now. For some people, that works. For others, it's not something they want to do. If you've got 10 pounds or more to lose and feel like you've been stuck, Lean was created by doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition as another option. The ingredients are studied to help manage blood sugar, curb appetite, and help your body convert stored fat into energy when combined with a healthy diet and exercise. Always key right there. This isn't about quick fixes. It's about support for people who are serious about making a change and need something sustainable. And it's specifically designed for people with more than a couple pounds to lose. So right now, you can get 20% off and free rush shipping. go to takelean.com and use the promo code LEMON. That's TAKELEAN.com. Use the promo code LEMON. Thank you, sponsors. That's right. Thank you, sponsors. We appreciate it. That's how we stay streaming out here, viable on these streaming streets. And by the way, make sure you hit the like and hit the thumbs up. I didn't tell you, first order of business is a little late in the show to tell you that, but make sure you hit the thumbs up and the like, because it does affect the algorithm and more people become aware of our channel and our conversation. We want as many people to watch as possible. Kurt Bardella is back. Kurt was with a brilliant idea for Democrats for the State of the Union, which is coming up next week. But here is Sunny Hostin from The View. As you know, we were together at CNN, but Sunny Hostin she's addressing Donald Trump's tanking poll numbers. Here it is.
He has such low approval ratings. I think he's been one of the worst presidents in my lifetime. And you can imagine people that have lived longer than I've lived. So there's no way after he leaves office, should he leave office, when he hopefully leaves office, that anyone's going to name anything after him anytime, anywhere. That's what the issue is.
That's probably why he's doing it himself.
That's why he's doing it himself. No one else will. And just to name a few of the things that he's put his name on, other than it's now the Donald J. Trump and John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts.
Yeah, we're chiseling that off.
Donald J. Trump, United States Institute of Peace, the Trump Gold Card, Trump-class USS Defiant battleship, which doesn't make any sense, Trump accounts, those are savings accounts, Trump RX, a proposed 2026 semi-quincentennial coin. I don't think
Isn't there like the Trump
I don't even think we
pharmacy,
do that.
The new,
Trump Pharmacy, and then America the Beautiful National Parks Pass is named the Trump.
Good Lord. Okay. Sunny going off. What is she? Oh, she said, there's one thing I'll disagree with Sunny on. She said one of the worst presidents. I say Sunny the worst, but anyway, go on. Look, he does have to put his name on everything, but I do think it's wearing thin.
Yeah, I mean, I think you ever hear overexposed, man? I mean,
yes.
My God, like when you feel like you got to put your name on everything. I mean, I joke every time I drive by the Washington Monument, I expect to one day look up and just see TRUMP all the way down it. You know, I mean, it's like, what is the deal with it? Are you so insecure? The answer is yes, that you feel like you have to just label everything. You know, it's just going to end up being taken down one day. By the way, we can make damn sure of that. There's a special kind of narcissism on display when you are self-obsessed to the point where you are literally trying to brand everything that you see with your last name. It's psychotic. And again, it's like, you're the president of the United States. It's like, don't you have better things to do than slapping your name on everything that I expect to just see rolling down Pennsylvania Avenue one day, you know, just the Trump bus line. If we go down to the Metro, maybe have Trump plastered all over that. It's like, why don't we just rename the Capitol, you know, instead of Washington, D.C., just call it Trump.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Barack Obama said at the convention. I mean, he's obsessed with like numbers. So and names. Thank you, Kurt. Good to see you. Fantastic idea, Kurt. Shout out to your podcast. Kurt's podcast is called The Watchdog Report on Substack. He's a former spokesperson and senior advisor for Republicans on the House Oversight Committee. He is now a Democrat and had his first cable news interview with none other than
the man.
Crazy thing. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Best of luck to you. Okay, we'll see you soon.
See you soon, brother.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so look, guys, people have been asking in the chat about the shirt. There's the shirt. And the shirt comes in a number of different colors. And if you can put the website up, go up to the website, to donlemon.com. People have been asking. And if you click on merch, boom, right there, merch. Those are the shirts that we have for supporting journalists right there. We will not be silenced. And everything goes to the Committee to Protect Journalists. But then we have the yellow shirt, you know that. But then go to, there we go. That's it. So this is the one that I have on. It's dark like that when you first get it, but then when it washes, the letters really open up. And same thing with the other, but it comes in different colors. Just so if you guys would want to know, they're great for spring coming up. This one, the yellow one, is great too. It gets, there's my thing. That's why I went to open the window. It's back. Okay, because it gets a little warm here. And then I had the green one, but they all, like, the letters start to come out the more you wear them. So I didn't know this. That's a blue color. Anyways, so that's it, guys. So listen, we have our members only program coming up right now in a few minutes. And so if you're at a certain tier of our membership, and if you go back to donlemon.com, and you click on the top button there, the arrow, the one that looks like a play button under watch, click right there. And you can become a member or you can subscribe. The subscriptions are free and the memberships are extremely reasonable. And if you're at a certain tier of our membership, you too get to be on the show, or you can get a private stream as we are about to have in just moments. Very reasonable memberships. And if you're already a member, you can gift memberships as well. So don't forget that. But subscriptions are free. And we thank you for supporting us. Because of your generosity, we get to stay on the air. So this is what Tina McGatsky said. You know, Tina is my boo, right? Tina is my... Now, here, you guys ready for this? Tina is my, I want to say oldest friend, because she's not my oldest friend. She is the friend that I've had for the longest in the world. Tina and I have been friends since nursery school, like pre-K. And then we went from pre-K to all the way to junior high school together. And then we split off and went to different high schools. But oh my gosh, this thing is driving me crazy. I'm just let me fix this. Stand by, because it gets warm in here. If you guys can hear, I have a little fan on in here. There we go. Okay, so Tina is my oldest and longest friend that I've had forever in the world. And she says, Don, please keep doing the work that you are doing, keeping us informed. This is too much to take on a daily basis. We've unplugged all the TVs. Love you, friend. Thank you. I love you too. So Tina was at my wedding. She was there when both of my sisters died. Just an old dear friend. Okay, so thank you guys for your support. We're going to get to the private stream. You still have time to sign up if you want to be on that private stream. So, and thank you welcome to all of the new members. I mean, who do we've got Iron Witch Bits is a new member. Sarah McGannum is a new member. Welcome to the Elimination. And Panther Paws, welcome to the Lemon Nation. Okay, and thank you. Who is this? Just remember, buddy, vote up in November, says DCTBG. Buddy up to vote in November. Buddy, hey, that's a good one. Buddy up to vote in November. Not a bad idea. Okay, be informed, please, without being inundated, until I see you back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time, except for the private chat that I'm going to see you in just a couple minutes. I want you to, as I said, be informed without being inundated. I said that. And turn the TV off. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern time, with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.